Good morning, friends. Good afternoon. Welcome to my first book review. Today, we're going to dive into the original trilogy of Red Rising. And, man, let me tell you, I stopped reading for, probably 4 or 5 years. And it was Christmas morning, and my sister got everyone in the family a book that she has loved to read before. My sister is really big into reading. She has an English degree. She just loves books. And she purchased Red Rising for me, and it truly has sparked my love for reading again. So excited about that, and I'm so excited to talk about this series because I have a feeling that this is going to be one of my favorite series ever. So, without further ado, grab a cup of coffee. Let's sit down, talk about Red Rising. Alright, so I've got the first 2 books here behind me. I don't own Morningstar. I read it on my phone, but regardless, I also listened to the audiobook a little bit too. But regardless, I thought I'd keep them here in the background and talk about them, But I want to go book to book, or at least try to. I might do a little bit of jumping around, but we'll start from beginning and go to end. That should be the hope and the plan. So the first book, everyone doesn't like it, and I'll be honest, I did like it, but it's because I had to transition my mind into what I thought it would be. The first 100, 150-ish pages I read in the span of like a couple months, honestly. I was really slow about it, 'cause any series it can be like this where it's kind of just a hard launch, You have to get, not only was I trying to get used to reading again, but I was also having to, get introduced to new characters, a new world, and a world like this is really overwhelming when you're first stepping into it. And so it definitely was kind of tough for me to get into. I'm just going to have to go straight into spoilers, by the way. There's no way that I'm not going to be able to talk about spoilers. So if you haven't read these before, know that these are great books and read them and then come back to this video. Anyways, guys, so we're going to go straight back into it. I think that this world is so huge and vast, and even though it's our planets and stuff like that, it's not, you know what I mean? So I really had to get used to that. But when Darrow died, I was blown away. I was like, that was when I was hooked. When Darrow died, I was so surprised. I was like, the main character already died. What? Obviously, he got, revived and came back to life like he was Lazarus. But that was when I really started to get hooked. I love the detail they go into about Mickey and how flawed of a character he is, but how crucial he was to Darrow becoming a gold, When I remember vividly, and this is something Pierce Brown does so well with his chapters, I remember vividly when they talk about how he wants to become a gold to Mickey, and they literally stop it right there, and he's like, I'm gonna become the Messiah basically, and they stop that in the chapter, and to go to the next one. Dude, what a cliffhanger. I know you get to keep reading, but he does that over and over again. It makes you just want to keep reading, and I love that. I love when books do that, and Pierce Brown does it so well. But yeah, like I said, you have to get kind of a mindset shift because it really does turn into space Hunger Games, and I wasn't really prepared for that. I didn't realize that the entire book was going to be just that. I thought, surely we'll get out of this, right? Surely we'll leave the Institute, or we'll at least do something else. And that didn't happen. And so once I was maybe a quarter to halfway through the Hunger Games-ish part, I was like, alright, I need to just be prepared. This is the story. And the story is really good. It's honestly super intriguing, and it really introduces a lot of the characters. It tells you a lot about who the golds are that are in the core, and it really traps you in. You start to get a feel for things, but it also really makes you wonder what's going on in society. How different is this from one thing to another? You know what I mean? But I honestly think it's a great first installment. If they had done more, if he had decided to leave and start trying to do things in society, we'd be so overwhelmed. We really would. And this really helps you just understand who most of the main characters in the book are, who's important, how do the Golds think, how do they act, how do they treat, all the other Golds. And so it is really, really interesting. And man, just seeing Darrow become a different person, it is so awesome. He's young and he's just ready to go, and he's ready to get after it, and he's ready to just, take the world head on. And we see that change in Darrow, but we still see that stay in him throughout the entire series. Man, it is just really cool, I love how there's always callbacks to the first book, and I love how the House of Mars is always kind of inside of Darrow, no matter what. He's always doing something like super risky and just really out there, but it's what makes him such an awesome character, because you never know like what strategy he has up his sleeve. I mean, when we get to the third book, he does this in all of them, but like the end of the third book, that is a House of Mars Darrow strategy, and it's just so cool. So you get introduced to Severo and the Howlers, and all the Howlers are so awesome, man. And we learn about the Jackal and how he literally ate his entire house just to survive because he was trapped in a tunnel, and Darrow makes him chop his hand off. And man, guys, I'll just tell you what, this first book had me in a chokehold after I was halfway done. Once I realized it was Hunger Games, man, I just locked in. I was ready for it, and it was so cool. And you get introduced to, I'm forgetting his name right now. You get introduced to Mustang and Jackal's dad, the Arch Governor. And man, that is so cool. And that's at the very end. So, this book right here is very special to me. I very, very much like this book. Yes, it's the worst one in the trilogy, but like, these books are basically 10 out of 10s. This is an 8 out of 10. Red Rising, the first book, is an 8, maybe an 8.5 out of 10. And the next two are 10s, 100%. So, yes, this is the worst one in the trilogy, but it is so good. It's so good, man. I love it. It's great. I love the characters. Cassius was one of my favorites from the very beginning. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, moving on to Golden Sun. A lot of people say that this is their favorite. A lot of people say that Golden Sun is the best book in the trilogy because you're introduced to the outside society. You learn about their space warcraft, how there's all these ships, and now that's really how battle is truly won in this society. It's really interesting. And we're also introduced to Victra and Tactus, both really interesting characters. You don't really trust either of them very much. Now, I won't say we were introduced to Tactus in this one because he was in Red Rising, but you don't expect him to be such an important character. And I do want to jump back just a little bit real quick because I can't leave this video alone without mentioning this. Bro, I love you, Pax. Pax, you were the best. You were so awesome. And I cannot believe that out of all the people, your name was drawn out of that hat. If you guys didn't know, Pierce Brown took a hat, just put everybody's names in there, including Severo. The only people that wasn't in there was Mustang and Darrow, and he just saw who was gonna die, and he pulled Pax's name. That hurts, man. So yeah, rest in peace, Pax. Golden Sun is so awesome, and I don't really feel like it kicks off until Darrow is going to go bomb the entire society, and he hits Roke with that tranquilizer, and you know that has done something to their friendship. But then Darrow goes in there, he basically wins back the favor of the Arch Governor, tells him he's gonna become king, all this stuff, and he starts a the blood feud with Cassius was already happening, but he challenges Cassius right there in front of everyone, including the Sovereign who we're introduced to. That battle was so awesome, man, and he's like, it's gonna be civil war on Mars. Bro, that is special. So awesome. So cool. And it's amazing. It really is. You learn more about Frickner, and it's just great. This is a book where we really start to learn who are the friends and who are the foes. Throughout, we learn about Lorne, we get closer to Mustang, we get closer to Severo. It's really special. It really is. I'll say this, Red Rising, I remember more about Red Rising than I do Golden Sun. So if that has anything to tell you, it's almost like that one was a little bit more memorable for me than Golden Sun. Not to say Golden Sun was bad. Golden Sun is... Dude, Golden Sun's amazing. I read Golden Sun in literally less than a week. Maybe like 3 or 4 days. It was awesome. I was on my honeymoon and I was reading Golden Sun. It's an amazing book. But yeah, man, Cassius and Darrow are just at each other's throats. Severo is such an amazing friend. We learn about Frickner, which, again, I don't know if you're listening to this for spoiler. Like, if you're still here and you haven't read these books, big spoiler. But when we learn that Frickner is Ares, mind blown. And it's just so cool. And I saw somebody talk about this, about how Pierce Brown's vocabulary is so interesting. Like, he just comes up with the coolest things. For instance, Iron Rain. Dude, that is so awesome. That's so cool. Like, how do you come up with that? You know what I mean? When we get to that climatic battle, so good. I know I'm jumping around, not going in the best order, but I also want to talk about Lorne, and I also want to talk about the Jackal, because we learn a lot about these characters. Lorne is special, and it's really cool when Pierce Brown doesn't always just tell us everything that Darrow's thinking. We don't know everything in his brain, and that's really how he keeps the plot moving and us guessing, and how he creates these like big events that happen. But we learn that he was trained by Lorne, who the only other person who was trained by Lorne was Aja, who is basically, it's like Darth Maul, you know what I mean? Or maybe even close, not as cool obviously, but like how they're the right hand man, close to Darth Vader level of like, this is the strongest person in the galaxy basically, and the only person who rules her is the Sovereign. And it's very, very, very cool. So it's awesome that Lorne, who doesn't train anyone anymore, trains Darrow, and we see how he cares so much about his family, and it really shows us a different side of Gold, you know? A Gold whose mindset can be shifted and changed. You know what I mean? He decided that this war, the way that the Golds position themselves is wrong, you know, in the way that they're always like hungering for more power. And Lorne just loves his family and he wants to keep them safe. But it also shows the flaws in Lorne, because he's a man who does believe that the low colors should stay the low colors and the golds should stay the golds. And it just shows us the flaws in the characters, and Pierce Brown is really great at writing flawed characters. Every character has a bit of a flaw. Whew. Now, let's talk about the end of Golden Sun, because everyone knows it is heartbreaking. Man, in that moment when everything seems like it's going well, and then he pulls the rug out from under us, and we see what Roke has done, what the Jackal has done after making a deal with the Jackal. It's crazy. I love the parallel to the Bible where Roke becomes Judas. It is so cool. But the difference between Roke and Judas is Judas was very, very upset, disappointed with his decision. Roke knew it was for the better for his society, and it showed us where his loyalty truly lied. And that was a special moment. That was a very special moment. So, Golden Sun, this is a 10 out of 10 book. I almost need to reread it because I'm forgetting things, but like, it's so special. I'm so grateful that I got to read this book. All right, everyone, let's move on to my favorite of the trilogy, Morning Star. This is one of the greatest books I've ever read in my life. I love Morning Star with everything in me. I love it. I love it so much, man. We start off with Darrow being just tortured. He's just a shrivel of himself. And later on we learn that Victra was being tortured as well. And she was also just a smaller, shriveled up, terrible version of herself. And this is when we learn that the Jackal is like the true villain, you know? He's the problem. The Jackal is like the Joker almost. He's just crazy and he'll do whatever he wants to get what he wants. He does not care about anything else. His motivation is his dad not loving him or ever caring for him. Pierce Brown even talks about that. Even after the Archgovernor is dead, Pierce Brown still gives us that motivation as to why the Jackal's doing what he does, right? The Jackal does not care. He will make the sacrifices it takes that is necessary to rule, even more than his dad ever would, and way more than Darrow ever will. And so it's very, very interesting. Once they get Darrow back, and we learn about how Severo is the new Ares, and we see them become closer and better friends. It just, everything is so perfect. All the people are there. They're all friends. They're all like under one common cause. It's so special. And seeing Severo and Darrow like struggle for once with each other's friendship, and they get in that fight, and Severo breaks down, and they just, oh man, it's so heartwarming and loving. The relationships between these characters are what matters most in these books, and it is so cool. And Mustang has accepted that Darrow's red, and she's okay with it, and we see her trust him more and more as the book goes on and on. The death of Ragnar is one of the worst things in these books. I wanted to cry, man, when Ragnar died. It was heartbreaking. But we are introduced to Sephi, who is a very interesting character. The Obsidians are key to this, and learning about them going up to Valhalla, killing the gods, that's very cool. And they call back to Red Rising because I think it's two houses that are there. I think it's Pluto and maybe Venus. I might be wrong about that, but they kill them. So awesome. It's very awesome to just see how that works. You know what I mean? Learning about the Obsidian world. That's when they capture Cassius. Cassius becomes a prisoner of the Sons of Ares, and it's very, very interesting. That's when I knew that Cassius played a bigger role than we thought he did. The whole time I'm reading this book, I'm just hoping he'll come back, hoping him and Darrow become friends again. It was just such a suspenseful thing. Then we go to the moon lords of the Rim. Guys, that meeting between Roke and Darrow and Mustang, and his name is leaving me, Romulus Ra. That's a cool guy, man. That's a cool guy. It is so cool, but so scary when we learn that the Jackal has nuclear weapons and he's ready to just blow up whatever. And he's so scary. The Jackal's so scary. He's such a good written villain. I love it. I love it so much, and I love everything about this book. It's perfect. It's one of the best books ever, man. When Severo hangs himself and Cassius is hanging, and he says, "I am a murderer," and he takes it from Sephi and does that. Wow. So special, man. So special. It is the coolest moment ever, and it makes everything just feel like Severo was just meant to be in the position he's in, and he's finally taken up the true mantle of being Ares. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Then Severo dies. That was the worst part of the book for me. I will say I don't want to skip out on Roke's death. Roke's death is heartbreaking in the way that Darrow wants to be his friend through and through, and he's always doing this with all these characters that are dying or almost dying. He's always trying to help them, and that's one of the best characters of Darrow. It is heartbreaking when Roke dies, but it was necessary. It really was. But yeah, Severo's death is the worst death. I genuinely was about to cry. I was losing it, especially because Cassius betrayed them. You know, after all this, after offering him this, he betrays them. But no, he did not. Severo, a married man now, by the way, was doing all of this just so that they could get in with the Sovereign and get right in there and create a trap. When Severo comes back to life and Cassius kills all those knights and they get in this fight, peak cinema, absolute cinema, greatest ending to a book ever. I was losing my mind. I was on a run and I just screamed out loud. It was so awesome. I loved it so much. Whew. What a special way to end a book. What a crazy, crazy ending. I just love it. And I love how they do the callback where they're howling. It's so cool. Man. And then the ending, very, very end, when Cassius calls Darrow his brother, and we learn that Mustang has a child, and it's Darrow's son. That's special, man. I cannot wait to see where the series goes. I know I missed a lot. There's a couple characters I didn't even mention, but I wanted to keep this somewhat short and still talk about how special it is. Morningstar is the best. It goes 3, 2, 1, 100%. Morningstar is so good, man. So good. But yeah, the Red Rising first trilogy is so amazing. I'm so thankful that I get to read them. Genuinely, they are so great. If you watched all these with every spoiler and you've never seen these, I don't know what you're doing, but I highly recommend you go read these books, man. I really do. Thank you guys for watching. Y'all are amazing. Thank you if you stuck around this long. If you could like the video, subscribe, it would help me out so much. But in the meantime, stay cozy, stay awesome, stay you. See ya.